lawsuits and more lawsuits and more lawsuits and more lawsuits. It never ends. It just rains and pours lawsuits in Uber and Lyft land. Uber and Lyft face up to 1,000 lawsuits claiming drivers sexually assaulted or harassed passengers, sometimes when the passengers were asleep. Drivers, don't get into this game if you want to fulfill your sexual fantasies. Not a good idea. Ain't gonna end up well for you and for the company, right? They have a big, big problem, right? My guess is vetting drivers, vetting passengers, I think a lot more can be done, right? How thoroughly have you checked their background? Uber and Lyft, can you answer that one? But in the meantime, you know what? Go to court and keep on settling and settling. No wonder you're not getting ahead. No wonder you are turning loss after loss after loss after loss each quarter. No wonder the media is so obsessed with you, right? Because you have nothing positive to report. A California law firm plans to file up to 1,000 sexual assault lawsuits against Uber and Lyft, K-Pix reported. Lawyers from Levin, Symes, Abrams said some cases involve reports of drivers assaulting sleeping women. The firm has called for mandatory surveillance cameras in cars to deter assaults. Good idea, right? We don't want the crap from passengers either, right? Works both ways. You put mandatory surveillance in each car, I tell you what, carjackings will go down, deaths will go down, rapes will go down. Both parties are put on notice with mandatory surveillance cameras. I'm all for that, right? I'm all for that. And please give me a shout out if you support that idea. Uber and Lyft could face nearly 1,000 individual lawsuits claiming that drivers sexually assaulted and harassed passengers. Lawyers at firm Levin, Symes, Abrams told KPIX. I would also tell this law firm, you may also want to look into the passengers because you think it's only drivers. I tell you, there are many, many riders and passengers that do exactly the same. Harass drivers, sexually assault drivers, especially the attorneys when they've been drinking, right? When they've been drinking and get into our car, they think they are entitled. So this is not a one-way street. Levin, Symes, Abrams, focus on those passengers and riders as well. The San Francisco-based law firm recently filed 85 lawsuits against Uber, mostly in San Francisco County Superior Court, with 321 cases pending, and filed more than 20 lawsuits against Lyft with 517 cases pending. Pending. All they do is they have an army of attorneys. I've all called them out by name. Even that weak Randall Heimovicki, that scum of the earth attorney that works, and Tony West, scum of the earth attorneys that work for that firm. All you do is put fires out every day. I would hate to have your job. And when you go knocking, when the Titanic goes down and you go knocking on other people's doors at law firms and try to get jobs, I hope they look at where you come from, because scum attorneys should not be hired. About 1/3 of those cases represented California residents. Firm partners Rachel Abrams and Laurel Symes also told Crone in a separate interview. Abrams and Symes told Crone that the 85 cases filed against Uber would not be joined together in class action lawsuit because the details and severity of each case varied significantly. The lawyers told Crone that hundreds of women came forward with claims of sexual assault and harassment after the firm took on its first case against Uber in 2019. In some cases, the women claimed drivers assaulted them when they were asleep or intoxicated, the lawyer said. Well, I also want to invite all the drivers who have been harassed, who have been assaulted. Why don't you contact them as well and say, hey, listen, will you take my lawsuit? Will you go after that passenger and rider? It's a two-way street, folks. You can't just, it's not just one-dimensional. It's not just a one-way road here, right? So you as a driver, the people that I represent, if you've been harassed, if you've been assaulted, contact these guys. let them add you to those many lawsuits. Firm attorney Megan McCormick. You listening, Megan? What I just told you? I hope you're listening, Megan. In an interview that some drivers stand accused of ending rides early on the app, so it looks to anybody watching or to Uber as if they did exactly what they're supposed to do. They then drive the passenger to a deserted place. Oh, really? Abrams told KPIX that 99% of assaults would be prevented if there was a camera. I agree with that. Make cameras mandatory. The ride-hailing apps announced in a joint statement in March that they would share data with each other on drivers who had been banned from their platforms for the most serious safety incidents. They should do the same with passengers and riders. Uber and Lyft share that data, including sexual assaults and physical assaults that resulted in death. In 2019, Uber released its first safety report, which said there had been 3,045 sexual assaults reports on US platform out of 2.3 billion trips. An Uber spokesman said in a statement to Insider, "We remain steadfast in our commitment to support victims and help stop sexual violence by collaborating with experts, pioneering safety tech solutions." Really? You're pioneering safety tech solutions, Uber and Lyft? Really? That's what you're doing? I'm not buying it. And setting the standard on transparency and accountability. They're setting the standard on transparency and accountability. How about unaccountable and not transparent at all? A Lyft spokesman told Insider, "What these women describe is something no one should ever have to endure. Everyone deserves the ability to move about the world safely, yet women still face disproportionate risk. We recognize these risks, which is why we are relentless in our work to build safety into every aspect of our work." But strangely enough, Lyft hasn't reported or handed in the report on their sexual assaults, right? So don't give me this nonsense here, Lyft. That means continually investing in new features and policies to protect our riders and drivers. Please do not make me laugh, right? That's an insult, lying to us drivers. That's an insult, lying to the riders and passengers out there. Hit up these guys, Legal Rideshare. If anything goes wrong, right? If you have an accident, if anything happens to you, happens to your passengers, make 100% sure you contact these guys immediately. Speak to this gentleman, Brian Greening. They're in all 50 states. Make sure you are represented, ladies and gentlemen. And then I also want to add to that, like I said, a friendly reminder to all those drivers. If you've been assaulted, if you've been sexually harassed, contact that San Francisco law firm as well. Again, this is not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. These law firms need to understand that. Uber and Lyft need to understand that. And drivers, if that's your intention to get on the platform to bully, assault, rape a woman, a man while they're asleep or not asleep, forget about it. Forget about it. You're out. Have a good day.